Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today on Disclosure Network New York, I'm proud to bring you the one, the only Nick Curto. Happy early birthday, Nick.
Thank you. It's the big 39, and I'm very excited about it. I feel as though I'm in the company of the wonderful, legendary Jack Benny on this one. Thank you. And this is Disclosure Network New York. I am so proud of the organization. It's almost 29 years that we started this group. Uh, we had a wonderful visit with Dr. Stephen Greer, who came to New York 29 years ago and gave his first talk to Manhattan audiences. And I was on the volunteer PR group that was trying to get people to come to the lecture. Well, we filled a huge auditorium on Fifth Avenue. Both the balcony and the lower part were totally jammed. And Dr. Greer came out and gave one amazing lecture. It was energetic, it was right from the heart, and he had all the facts lined up, and everyone was quite impressed. After it was over, he came backstage to the group, the volunteers, which I was a member of, and thanked us for doing such an incredible job. And he headed back to his home in Virginia. And then the members were all going, and me and two other people said, wait a second, this is New York City. We should have a major group meeting once a month. So let's not go home alone. Let's go for coffee and talk about this. And we came up with Disclosure Network New York. And we're now celebrating almost next month our 29th year of one meeting at least a month. And we get incredible people from all over the world who either Zoom in or come to the Manhattan West Village where we have the meeting. So anyhow, a big hug and kiss to everybody who's a long-term member of Disclosure Network New York. Now, tonight I am so excited because I am going to be interviewing, I personally think, one of the most fascinating people I've ever met in the field that we're talking about tonight. His life experiences, his job opportunities, and what happened during his jobs that he had is extraordinary. And his personal life also is incredible. And he said that he would share some of that with us tonight. So, Bruce Cornet, welcome, sir. Welcome to the party.
Oh, thank you. And welcome to your pre-birthday too.
Thank you so much, sir. It's I never felt more energetic, more positive about what's coming up, and I've never been more excited about our really discovering who we are, what's around the universe, and what else do we not know about. And this is all happening, as you know, sir, really quickly and fast, never more than right now. So this is a very, very exciting time. What are your comments on that?
Oh, I'm looking forward to more disclosure, but I'm a little bit disappointed in that it is treating the general public like you know idiots by showing them just orbs and strange objects flying through the sky without getting into who's in these objects or craft and showing us more pictures of actual extraterrestrials.
Bruce, I couldn't be more in agreement with you. I'm glad that the subject is being finally at least talked about, but the actual government, what they're showing, is just child's play. It's nothing compared to what we all know is the real deal of all the information, all the facts, the craft, the ETs, all of it, the underground facilities, all of that is not being even mentioned, at least not yet. That's why we all have to work to put pressure, more pressure than ever, to get the truth out, to get the truth out to the general public. It's way too long, and we need it, and we need it now.
Well, one of the things that I need to bring up on this program is that there's a lot going on in our own societies about which we are totally, most people are unfamiliar and ignorant. I mean, uh, we assume that ETs will look like the skinny, large-headed, black-eyed grays, but that's not true at all. The majority of them look just like us.
And most people haven't a clue that that is the truth. And we've seen so many science fictions where ETs are aggressive and want to kill us all. And that image is still with us quite a bit from the movies. And so we really have to rethink. I think you'll agree with me. We really have to think, and all the general audiences all over the world have to rethink what is possible and probably what's really going on.
I didn't know that I was an abductee until the 1990s. Um, I was totally clueless, even from my abduction in front of my entire drill crew in 1981 in south of Richmond, Virginia. And my crew saw me being taken, found me missing, and saw me being brought back. And I was in a lot of pain and hypothermic. And when they brought me back, I didn't know what was happening. I just wanted to go back to my motel and bury my head in the pillow and take a bunch of aspirin because of all the pain I was experiencing. Um, but in the 1990s, I saw the miniseries called Intruders. Do you remember that?
I remember that. In fact, I just recently posted that whole movie to our group.
Yes, I saw that, and that changed my whole attitude about the subject because it looked very familiar. I recognized the ETs. I recognized the emotions of the people being abducted, and I said, "Wait a minute! I think I might um, be involved in this. And how do I find out?" And at that point, I started doing investigations, and I was going out into the field and I was being followed around with Ellen Crystal, Dr. Crystal, by these craft, which were clearly not man-made craft in the Orange County in the Walker River Valley of New York. And I was taking pictures. I was with the idea that I could distinguish between what's normal and what is not by the movement of these craft, which was very erratic in the sky. I mean, they could jump from one place to another and speed up and slow down and stop and hover. And most of our conventional aircraft can't do that. So that it fascinated me. And Ellen Crystal's book, Silent Invasion, also got me hooked on the subject. I wanted to see this stuff by myself, and I contacted her, and she took me out into the field, and sure enough, we saw it. But what I wasn't realizing or expecting is that all of this would suddenly explode in my memory of events where I had been taken and abducted, all the way back to age 8 or 9.
Well, Bruce, I'm going to have to parallel that with what you're saying because I totally get it. And I was abducted with my family when I was a very young person. And long story short, I didn't have memory of that for over 30 years. Nothing, not one single thing. And one afternoon, and again, I don't know what triggered it, but all of a sudden it swept in my mind details of what happened. And I couldn't believe my mind was racing. It was like remembering, rediscovering a huge experience that I had. So when you're saying that, I totally get it because wow, it's an incredible feeling when all of a sudden an important part of your life comes streaming back.
I had that very experience in class. I was in elementary school, last year of elementary school, and we had a technician from the TV station come in with a large camera and monitor to demonstrate how TV works for us. And this was fascinating to me. I'd never seen this before. And the class was asking all sorts of questions. And one student asked, "What happens if you point the camera at the monitor?" And he showed what would happen. That you get a feedback loop on the monitor of the screen getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And when I saw that, Nick, it blew my mind because everything about a similar event that had happened to me when I was 8 or 9 came flooding back, just as you said, your memory came back in great detail. And I found myself aboard a ship with a whole bunch of other young males, and we were being taken one by one into this room and put on a table and having a monitor or a scanner put over our head. I mean, we see these in the doctor's office today, all around, and we think nothing of it. But this was in 1958, and after they had scanned my head, I asked them why they were doing this, and said, "We're to see how an implant they put into my um, optic nerve was functioning, whether it had grafted onto my optic nerve." And then when I was led back out into the hallway, and the hallway was curved. Most hallways humans make on Earth are straight and right angles. This was curved, and there were these rooms coming off and doorways on the outside, and they split us up into pairs. And my buddy, they said, we'll go into this one room. And I remembered very clearly as I was reviewing this in my mind that it was a tall gray that was leading me into this side room. And I saw a small gray sitting at a computer, and it was a flat screen computer with a keyboard. And we weren't going to have those for another 30 years. Um, and uh, the tall gray told the small gray to switch to my buddy's um, frequency, and everything he looked at, you could see on the screen.
Wow. Oh, that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. There's been a number of people who have very parallel, similar experiences. One, their minds are wiped clean, at least for many, many years. And for some reason, eventually, some of us are lucky enough to remember all of a sudden as it sweeps in, and it's very real, and we remember a lot of details. And it's an incredible experience. And a number
Yes,
of people have said to me, that's happened to me. How do they communicate? Was it thought or was there some sort of verbal? What was it?
it was thought in my head. It was a
Okay.
telepathic thought. And then the tall grays told the technician to switch to my frequency, but he warned me, don't look at the monitor. All you're going to see is a feedback loop. And sure enough, that's all that I saw. And that flashback to my classroom experience where the technician pointed the camera at the monitor, and all we saw on the monitor was a feedback loop. And that's what broke through the screen memory that had been uh, given to me so I wouldn't remember any of this.
Very, very, very interesting indeed. Wow. It's amazing. We all know that they can communicate, that they've been watching us for God only knows how many centuries and are doing that intensively right now. I've always felt that we were being watched. There was something in my gut that said, we really are not alone, and you'd be surprised how we're being monitored. And I think that that's coming up now more and more, that we are being monitored at many, many levels. So
Yes.
yeah, so that we're now tell us about some of your more, how shall I say this, personal experiences with other forms, with other beings, if you will. I know there's some extraordinary stories in your life, and if you could just pick one of them and just share that with us.
Well, it wasn't until my late wife died and my mother and I were at her graveside in Northwest Houston that we saw her spirit appear over her grave. I was rolling my camcorder and I caught her spirit on camera. Um, and then I was told telepathically to turn off my camera. I wish they hadn't done that because they didn't want me to record what was going to happen next. Now, this was my late wife who died at age 40. She had a very difficult life, but she had extraordinary abilities. I saw an interesting show recently called The Rook, in which they have a term called EVA, Extreme Variant Abilities, and about these very small percentage of humans that can do extraordinary things. And Bonnie could levitate, move objects with her mind, see into the future, and she probably the most shocking experience I had sitting across my kitchen table on the third day she had been with me moving. She and her son moved into my house. She looked completely human, and she told me that she had a very high IQ and could read everything very quickly. To prove it, she asked me to pick a book that I knew she hadn't read. So I picked one on a scientific subject and I gave it to her. And she put it between her hands and closed her eyes and meditated. And it meditated for about a minute and a half. I wondered what was going on here. What had I gotten myself into to agree to help this woman out?
Hmm.
And she opened her eyes and handed me the book. And I said, open it up to a page and don't show me the page, just tell me the page number. And I did. And as I was looking at that page, she recited the entire page verbatim.
Wow.
She wasn't looking at the page. And I said, how did you do that? She said, when it was between my hands, I read it and memorized it.
Whoa.
How many humans do we know that can do that?
That's incredible. That absolutely incredible. There's like 2,000 questions, Bruce, I really want to ask you because you've totally got my interest here, and I'm sure that the listeners, viewers tonight are feeling the same thing. Um, as far as the person herself goes, um, did she ever mention that she wanted children? And did she ever mention that perhaps there's a different way to bring babies into the world than the normal, or the ways we do it here on Earth? Was there any ever discussion about reproduction?
Oh, yes. She told me about how at age 17, she became pregnant and she was engaged to her high school sweetheart. He wanted to marry a virgin, so had not had sex.
Wow.
And but she was pregnant and she had to hide it from her fiance and from her parents. She was really concerned about this, you know. I mean, her belly was increasing. She was going through all of the typical experiences that a pregnant woman would experience. And that happened in April of 1967. And in the month prior to that, I had been on a trip to uh, Buffalo, New York, to meet with a friend. And on the way, driving on New York Thruway, I heard a radio program about sightings of UFOs. And I was fascinated by that subject. And I saw a disc fly across the highway just above the tree level. And it disappeared into the woods to the right. So I pulled over to the side of the road and I got out and I went into the woods to look for a crashed object. And the next thing I knew, I was walking out of the woods, getting back into my Volkswagen Bug and starting up and driving along the way. And what bothered me is, and I had this thought in my head that I had helped an alien fix his craft by holding a monkey wrench while he tightened the bolt.
Hmm.
And of course, that was all just a fake memory that was given to me because what bothered me is that my testicles ached like crazy. And when I got to Buffalo and met my friend, he said, what took you so long to get here? And I said, what do you mean it took me so long? He said, you're an hour late. I was
Wow.
about ready to go home. So there was an hour of missing time.
Missing time. Here we go. There's so many stories, Bruce, as you well know, about missing time. Sometimes an hour, sometimes a week, or more,
Right,
and the memory is erased as far as what happened, where they were, who were they with, how they survived. It's erased, and it's more common than you might think. Another question I have: Dr. Greer has stated many times that he feels as though all ETs are friendly, that we don't have any enemies. Now, I have an opinion, but I want your opinion. Do you think that there are good and bad out there in the universe?
yes, unfortunately I do.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I think that perhaps, and I don't want to speak for Dr. Greer, but I have a feeling that he thinks that because there is a lot of people are saying a planned uh, takeover of our planet that is totally not ETs, but is the deep state that will do this and pretend it's an invasion of ETs and blame them when it's not. And
Right.
that's something that's been going on as a plan for decades. And even, as you know, very famous people, including one of von Braun, said that is one of the major plans that is going to happen. And so I'm having a feeling here, this is my gut feeling, that Dr. Greer is trying to say, no, don't believe it. And that's why he's saying that they're not going to attack, that they're friendly, because maybe he's trying to offset what the big plan really is. Do you have any comments on that?
I have met Greer only once, and believe it or not, it was in the mid 90s in New York City, where he invited me to go have lunch with him. And I've never met him after that. But you said that your DNNY started about that time.
That's exactly right. I'm just wondering if it was exactly the same time when he did the lecture. It was on Fifth
Yeah.
Avenue, about 101st
Oh,
Street or so. It was a big doctor's facility, and they have a huge auditorium, and that's where it was.
yeah. He said he was going to be giving a lecture.
Oh,
Yes,
so that was the same weekend. Would that be correct?
probably. It
Yeah,
could have been.
yeah. Isn't that amazing when you think of that? Wow.
Yes. And getting back to my late wife, her name
Please
was
do.
Bonnie Marzi when I met her. Marzi. Her husband was German and his last name was Marzi. But, we had a lot of a connection with Mars. And I thought that was very strange. He worked for NASA in Houston. And so, uh,
Did Bonnie reference the fact that where she was from and give any more details?
well, she said she was born to a Jewish mother and raised by a Masonic father.
Okay.
And she had a lot of problems with her mother. And that was really sad because her mother nearly killed her on one occasion by confiscating all of her medications after she had been diagnosed with cancer.
No.
And uh, this was before I met her because she had a large hole in her left leg where a huge tumor had been removed. And she had to use all of her psychic powers to get rid of that cancer. And she was given chemotherapy initially, but unfortunately, it caused too many problems. It was uh, causing more damage than good. So she stopped it and she started using visualization to get rid of the cancer cells. And she apparently succeeded. Um, but she had three different types of cancer in 8 months. She had a uterine cancer, breast cancer, both, and she had two double mastectomies and a clot spreading version of malignant melanoma. And
Oh
I
my
swear,
God.
the
The poor
only,
thing. Wow.
yes, but what was amazing, it was like she was under attack by negative ETs.
It sounded, it just does. I mean, that's like a remarkable, all of a sudden, everything's going wrong medically.
Right. And she's sitting across my kitchen table from me telling me all of this. And I'm just totally blown away by all of the stuff that she's revealing. and she became a certified hypnotherapist, and she helped people overcome problems, emotional problems, and mental problems with hypnosis. Now, never during the 7 years we were together did she ever hypnotize me that I was aware of. And I must emphasize that because she
Okay.
could have
I
easily,
think that's a fair thing to say. Yep.
yeah, she could have easily hypnotized me and just not told me and and erased my memory of being hypnotized.
Now, being in love with someone, especially someone that special, was it a very similar experience when you were in love with people, women here on this planet, from this planet? Was it the same kind of emotions, or was there anything different?
Oh, it was emotional. And believe me, it was like a absolute commitment to her and everything that's going on. And what will come out near the end of this conversation is that she died in um, on the 12th of January, 1991. She moved into my house on the 12th of January, 1984, 7 years exactly before that. And when she died, she came back in spirit and communicated with me for years after that and educated me as to what was going on, who we were, why she had chosen me to be her husband. And uh, that just blew me away. But who would believe that? The
I
story.
would. I would, and I think a lot of people in my group would absolutely treasure what you're saying because this is an extraordinary a life experience for anyone, and for you to actually have it, and for so many years, and then with even after death, you still had major communication. I mean, that is extraordinary.
Yeah, she told me what her spiritual name was, and she said, "Sit down on the edge of your bed." And it was in the morning, and it was still dark outside. And I did, and she said, "Close your eyes and uh, watch what I'm going to do." And what she did, she created a well, there's a special term for it, of light in my mind's eye, and that light bar, suddenly in with that light bar, I saw a capital K on the left, then a capital R in the middle of the bar, then a small a after the capital K, and a small a after the capital R. And when I saw that, I spoke out and said, Kahra. She said, "Yes, that is my name. Don't abuse it." And
Wow.
and I did a lot of research on that to find out, you know, do you realize that the word Kahra is a word both in Hebrew and Aramaic? And it means the same thing, to read scripture out loud. It's also,
Really?
yes, it also is the fundamental um, word for the Islamic Quran. The Quran is based on the word kara, and
Oh,
it
that's
means
interesting.
spirit of goddess with an A,
Wow.
not E. And that's the most interesting thing because when I started doing my research, I quickly discovered the word Kara in Egyptian books and showing pictures of Kara as a red orb on top of upstretched arms that were sitting on top of a djed, and on either side of the djed or a post were pictures of Isis and Nephthys worshiping Kara. She was the goddess. In terms of Christianity, she is the Holy Spirit.
Did she reference brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, mother, father? Did she go into any of that?
No, just in our lifetime that went back a long, long time ago, millions of years ago, and where how we I came was I was uh, ex extra commu ex what excommunicated from the society I was associated with in the planet, and given 3 ships with crews and sent out into space. We ended up in our solar system here and settled on Mars. So she said, yes, you had colonies on Mars. Um, so this was fascinating that here I am so involved with studying the things, the Cydonia complex on Mars with Richard Hoagland and the face on Mars, that led me to discover the original monuments here in New York State in the Walco River Valley. And I was able, even though they were badly damaged and eroded, I could still make out, based on the mapping that was done on Mars of the Cydonia complex, and find the face on Earth. It's a mirror image of the one on Mars, and to find the crater that has well, let's say a ridge on top of it and a tetrahedron on its rim, and then near there a tholus, which is underneath the Stewart Air Force Base, and the Air Force Base is built around that tholus. I found it to be fascinating because everything that I was videotaping and photographing in the basin, in that area with Ellen Crystal, was related to that original Cydonia complex that was built on Earth.
Right, right, right. I really feel, I always have felt that under the oceans, under the land surfaces and in the mountains is where our brothers and sisters have been for many, many generations and are there right now. And I also, I've talked to other people who have some knowledge who've said that underground is where a lot of civilizations are on their various planets, that their various planets on the surface are not friendly to life. So way back when they tunneled in and they built extraordinary underground cities and facilities, and that's where a lot of our brothers and sisters are. And do I believe that? I absolutely do. Do you
Well,
have
I
time?
actually have photographs of these alien ships, the UAP as we call them, diving through trees and into the ground and coming up out of the ground. I have many photographs of this, documenting what you just said, that they have an underground base.
Yeah, and I think that that's really the majority of where our I'm going to say brothers and sisters because that has a kind of a warm feeling to it, and I really do have very warm feelings. The times I've had experiences where I've actually seen craft, I never felt scared ever. I always felt honored, and the fact that they knew. They knew that we were there. I was there and others were there at the time, and they knew that we were sending out love and friendly feelings, and they responded by acknowledging that. And I always felt that, and it's very deep with me, but it's very much there now. And I've talked to other people who said the very similar thing, that they felt as though they were being acknowledged, and that there's a lot more to come on that level.
Well, Kara said that she was the leader of a very large space organization called the Caledonians, and they ruled over the Earth. And so she was the one who was in charge of it all, which I found to be fascinating, and that the Egyptians worshipped her. And here she was. I was living with her for 7 years. So that was pretty amazing when you think about it.
Oh, absolutely so. And in various parts of our planet, uh, talk about Egypt, talk about Peru, talk about the Antarctica, talk about many, many places that have similar extraordinary buildings, extraordinary histories. They have images that have to be related to ET activity. And when you really start looking closely, it's extraordinary what's really there. Once you have that mindset to say, let's take a second look at what we think we're seeing. And even as far as architecture goes and what's under the ocean, whole civilizations that have been swallowed up by the oceans, but the buildings and some of the artifacts are still there. And every single year, scientists are discovering more and more and more. And
Right.
it's an incredible, I mean, we're living, as you well know, Bruce, in an extraordinary time right now. I can't imagine a more breathtaking time than right now.
What excites me is that uh, after Bonnie died, she came back spiritually and communicated with me for at least 6 years, um, and helped me out on many things, uh, which I was very grateful of. But the most extraordinary part is that she brought me, uh, led me to meet my replacement for her, Patricia Huff, and how that happened. That was an amazing story in itself, uh, because I went to work and I was walking down the hall at Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, and Connie Sanchetta came out of her office and she saw me. She said, "Oh, Bruce, I'm so happy I got ran into you. Can I ask you a personal question?" And I said, "Sure." She said, "Are you dating anybody?" And I said, "No." She said, "Over the weekend, I got in touch with an old college uh, friend at Brown University, and we talked and shared all of our stories about our lives. And I realized that she is a lot like you. Can I play matchmaker and bring you together?"
Wow, that's amazing.
And uh, before Bonnie died, we were watching the movie Always. Have you ever heard of that? Seen that with Richard Dreyfuss,
Oh, yes, yes, I have. Yes.
the firefighter who crashed and
Yep.
then helped her his girlfriend find another boyfriend. And well, she said that's real. That really happens. And I had that thought in my head when she said, "I would like to invite you and my friend Pat over to my house." Make a long story short, I met her in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, um, at a wedding for some friends, and told her that she was just exactly like the woman that I was told I was going to meet. And that happened before I saw Connie Sanchetta. I was picking up my mail at my condominium and walking back, and suddenly this voice in my head said, "Are you ready to meet the next woman in your life?"
Oh boy.
And of course, there was nobody standing there talking to me. And I realized what had happened because that is what it had happened when I was set up to meet Bonnie back in 1981. Um, so here it was in New York at my condominium, and I thought, yes, I'm ready, because the first experience was quite extraordinary, and uh, all of a sudden this portal opens up right in front of me, because I had thought that this time I don't want a blind date, because I had accepted a request from an unseen entity if I would help a woman in need and she would be brought to me, which she was, and I would get to meet her, and I did exactly as the prediction went. And this time, I was looking through a portal into another dimension to an all-white kitchen with modern appliances, and I saw this woman sitting at a table. And I thought, oh, she's a little bit too far away from me to see her. And suddenly I felt my spirit being pulled out of my body, passing through that portal and hovering over her head. And as soon as I had a thought that I'd seen enough, I felt my spirit being yanked back into my body and the portal close. Then I met Connie Sanchetta in the hall where I worked, and she set me up to meet Pat. And Pat was the woman I saw sitting in that kitchen table.
That's such an extraordinary life experience on so many levels. And you are very, I think, blessed, fortunate to be at the right place at the right time. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I've wondered why me? What is going on here with my situation? What am I here to do?
Now,
Um,
if I may, I wanted to ask you now, I believe you are alone, right? You're living alone?
yes.
Okay. Do you have any feelings of the future? Do you have any I don't know, ideas that there might be something coming up? Do you have any feelings like that at all? And any ways of thinking like that?
Yeah, and it just doesn't seem like much is going to happen in terms of the truthful disclosure. It's just going to keep on going on, and eventually people will get used to the idea that perhaps some of these ETs. I mean, hearing many stories about people running into ETs that are like the tall blondes and blue-eyed, and recognizing them and communicating with them telepathically. So this concept of telepathic communication is going to become more and more commonplace. And
I would agree with that. And I've always had I want to call it I'll call it gut feelings for lack of a better term. But there are people who can come into my life. It might be just someone walking on the street, walking past me. It might be someone that I meet. And I have some very strong feelings about the person that I logically wouldn't have because I haven't had any life experience with them on any, or even a conversation. But sometimes I get the feeling that this is a very good person, that this is someone who has love in their heart, and that is a person to know, an outstanding citizen, an outstanding and there's other times, and it could be even walking past somebody on the street or even being introduced to someone, when I'm getting a feeling this is really bad news, that this is something to be very aware of, that I'm getting very negative feelings, even though they may be not broadcasting that as far as what they're saying and how they look, but I'm getting there's a whole other background that is like red lights flashing. Now, have you ever had that experience?
no, not quite like that. I think I am being protected. Uh, One of the things I had with Pat, it- who was Bonnie's replacement, was her interest in the psychic phenomenon, and that was one of the reasons why Connie thought that we might um, be good to know each other. And what came out of that was she wanted me to join with one of her friends who was a hypnotherapist. And Bonnie had been a hypnotherapist, a professional
Oh,
hypnotherapist.
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And so, as I said, I don't recall her ever hypnotizing me, but you don't know that. Um, and so with we went to with Corolla Van Dusen in northern New Jersey to her house, and she had a party there where she was going to do a past life regression with the people who participated. And I had never been involved in something like that. I had never thought I had been hypnotized. I didn't know what uh, hypnosis was like, what it would feel like. Have you ever been hypnotized?
I have. In fact, I asked someone if they knew a good hypnotherapist, and they directed me to someone. And I asked for a session because I wanted to explore one of my first and one of my major experiences that I was abducted and how true that was. And so I did go under, and it verified that what was streaming into my mind actually was real.
Yes,
So it was like you're saying, it's an extraordinary experience when you go to that level and then ask the questions and get answers.
yes. And also, what Corolla was going to do was to take us back before our birth to see who we had been in the previous lifetime.
Oh, that's incredible subject. That is the subject that I am so interested in. What are your feelings on your own personal self on that?
Well, there's no way to prove who I've been in the past, okay? Other
Okay.
than that, what I discovered during that session with Corolla was that I had been in a building that was very familiar to me. And she said, if you can't figure out who you were, look for a mirror. And when I looked in the mirror, a mirror in that building, I saw a face I did not recognize. And
Oh boy.
this was a little scary.
What was
Okay.
it like? What was that face like?
Well,
What was the
I,
face
I
like? Was
well,
it also a man? Was it an
yes,
older
it was a
person or
male. It was a
yeah.
male, mature male. And I realized that where I was in the White House.
Okay.
And so after the session was over, I told Pat, and she said, well, we're going to have to go get a book of presidents. And we did. And flipping through that book, I found the image of the man that I saw in the mirror.
And
And
tell us more about that.
that was Woodrow Wilson.
Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness.
And that shocked me. And I did a lot of research on him. I went to Princeton University, where Woodrow Wilson had been the president of that university and had taught at that university. And
Right,
that
right.
was very interesting because Princeton was on the opposite side of the state where I lived in Red Bank. And so I was, I mean, all of his diaries, etc., that he wrote are there. You can check them out and read his life in them. And I thought this was fascinating. And so it wasn't until, this was in 1993 that this regression occurred. But in 2000, somebody contacted me by the name of Star Angel. And she said she was the astrologer for Nancy Reagan, and whose name was Joan Quigley. Have you ever heard of her?
No, no, tell me more.
She's the one who gave Nancy all these predictions for her husband, and this in telling him whether he should do this or not do this, etc. Whether she was the guide behind Reagan's political decisions. And you'll hear her name occasionally brought up relative to Reagan. And she wrote me an email, and I was reading this email, and it was amazing. Yes, Hercules is telling us.
Right, right. We're getting a signal that it's a 10 minutes before we have to end the Bruce, I always say this, but it's so true. This hour goes by so fast for me and my guests. It just zooms by. It seems like it's 10 minutes to me, and I have a clock that I look at
Let me
and
finish what I'm trying
oh
to
no,
say
no,
right
I
now.
want to do that, but I'm just saying it always goes so fast. Now please do finish up. I want that.
Yes, um, what she said in that email to me was that her angel had told her to contact me out of the blue and tell me this information. The first thing she did was describe how my Bonnie's son, youngest son, died in a tragic car accident in the
Oh,
fog in
sorry. Good.
southern Texas. And the information that she told me could only be known by the family and the medical doctors that tried to save him. Okay, so it wasn't something that is in the newspapers. And so I realized that this was valid information. And then she said, you were Woodrow Wilson.
Wow.
And there she had been in the White House with um, Ronald Reagan and his wife. So that was very important. She also then said, "You were John the fisherman before that."
Right, right. Have you ever been in the White House yourself?
Yes, as a child.
And was there any place, a staircase, a room, where there's anything that kind of rang a really vague bell to you?
Well, a lot of things in the White House have been changed. It has been remodeled. Like the Oval Office wasn't there.
Right.
It was just an office in the corner of the building, and there wasn't any uh, curved window or anything like that at the time. But I remember the fireplace, and that was there, and the layout of the furniture, et cetera, and Woodrow Wilson's desk, and I remember that. I saw that.
A couple of other questions. Did Bonnie want to be buried or cremated, or what happened to her body?
She let me know she wanted to be buried in Texas, and she's buried in the Garden of Texas Liberty in Northwest Texas. Um, and that was an interesting situation. I had called my mother uh, from New York and said I asked her to go looking for a place where we could get about bury Bonnie, and she looked around and found the Memorial Oak Cemetery and went in and asked the lady if what would process to get a place to bury my wife. And the lady asked for Bonnie's name, and she said, "Wait a minute, that's familiar." And she looked through her Rolodex and pulls out Bonnie's card. She says, "We already have a a burial plot for her and for her husband in the Garden of Texas Liberty."
Wow. Oh, that's really amazing. I mean, were you with her when she passed on?
Yes, I was. She died in my arms.
That is an extraordinary experience. I've had that happen in my life, and it's such an extraordinary experience to be there when they're transcending. And I'll never forget it. If anybody's had that experience, they know what I'm talking about. It's on a very different level. It presses every button you've got, as I'm sure you know.
Well, after Bonnie died, I was then introduced to my three children with Bonnie, who were born to two different mothers before I'd even met Bonnie. How do you explain that?
Wow, it's extraordinary. It really
And
is. I
two
mean,
and two of them,
your whole life you've done so many different things, and you've been certainly a research scientist. There's a lot going on that you've already done. Last question, because we're running out of time. If you had to make a wish for our planet, what would you want to wish for right now for our planet, all the people on our planet?
an itch, a desire by more people to want to know about this phenomenon and about who is sharing this earth with us.
Amen to that. Absolutely true. I want to just before we go, Disclosure Network New York, you can reach us. I'm going to give a email, which is NICKNYNY1, the numeral one at gmail.com. I'm going to repeat it. NICKNYNY1 at gmail.com. If you want to know more about Disclosure Network, how to become a member, or if you have other questions or want to contact Bruce, Bruce, if I get any emails like that, I will forward them on to you.
Thank you.
And I just want to tell you how really honored I am to have you on this program. You have so much interesting information. You have led so far an amazing life, and I'm sure there's a lot more to come. And I'm going to ask
There
you that.
is. There's a
Please
whole
keep.
new story that I haven't told you yet.
Oh, I know, I know, and that's why I'm going to ask you back in the fall because I would love to have more conversations with you. Again,
Bonnie came back. She's back in
okay,
a new body.
we'll let that be the dot dot dot, and that's where we'll start with part two. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, Bruce, amazing. Thank you so much, sir. You've been an amazing guest to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Nick, and thank
This
you,
is Nick
Hercules.
Curto for Disclosure Network. Wishing you all an amazing journey on this planet and wherever else you end up. And remember, we have brothers and sisters everywhere, and honor them with love and respect. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hope to see you again real soon. Okay, it's back to you, Hercules.
And happy birthday coming up. And Bruce, thank you. That was an excellent account. I look forward to part two.
Well, good, good. I'm glad. I hope the audience enjoyed it.
And to all who tuned in, thank you very much. Joyous journeys and amazing adventures for you all. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Much love to everyone. Much love everywhere.
Yes.